So it's not a problem intervention solution paradigm. It is a change of state paradigm.
So one thing is we hear a lot about health, wellness,
Right.
But where does this concept of indic well-being and this indic knowledge fit in?
Got it. No, that's a very good question. I get asked that question also quite a lot, by the way. So I think, what is the indic knowledge of well-being? So there are two big questions, words in that, indic and well-being, right? So indic, I explain to people, typically means knowledge, or indic knowledge typically means knowledge that was produced by the Indian civilization in ancient times, right? That has stood the test of time for a long time. So that is what indic means. Indic refers to all of that knowledge from ancient times produced by the Indian civilization. Let's come to a more interesting word, which is well-being, which is typically a word used sometimes as well-being, sometimes it interchangeably with wellness and with healing and with health. I mean, so there's no clear difference between all of these, right? But the fact of the matter is, when you think about it and when you go back into the knowledge, these are all distinct ideas and very different ideas. So let's talk about what well-being is by first understanding what it is not. And that will give us a good sense of what it is. So let's talk about healing, which is one, or healthcare. Now, what is that? That means that there is first a problem, and that problem is called illness. So you have a problem of some illness, some disease. And then you go to find some intervention that will help you solve that problem. And solve means that problem goes away, that illness goes away, right? So problem, intervention, solution. Illness, treatment, no illness. So that is healing, right? So typically when you go for medical care, that's what you're really doing, saying, okay, I've got this bronchial thing, whatever it is, and you go to a particular doctor, they give you whatever, and then hopefully you get better. Then there is something called wellness. It's a big word today in the world. The wellness industry is worth a few $1 trillion. What is wellness? Wellness actually does something very similar to what healing does, which is it starts with a problem, it gets into an intervention, and hopefully if everything works well, you have a solution, which means that the problem goes away. The difference between healing and wellness is the nature of the problem. So in healing, you're solving for illness. In wellness, you're solving for imbalance. So there's a difference between imbalance and illness. So imbalance is stuff like, for example, chronic inability to sleep. It's not an illness, but it is an imbalance. One of the interesting things about an imbalance is, if you leave an imbalance unaddressed, it will eventually end up in disease, right? So it's a stage before that. So imbalances. So you find those imbalances, then you find a system to intervene, and then hopefully if everything goes well, you don't have that imbalance anymore. Now this is what it is. Well-being, on the other hand, is not about this whole problem, intervention, solution paradigm at all. That's the big difference. So what is well-being about? Well-being is about saying that you want to live in a different kind of state. Where the state of living, where you're living, the way you live itself is so different, or different from how you've done it, so that you don't have these problems in the first place, or it becomes much lesser. So, the imbalances also reduce, the intensity of the imbalances reduce. When that reduces, the possibility of diseases reduce, and all of that, right? So it's not a problem, intervention, solution paradigm. It is a change of state paradigm. Which means what? Which means that there is no specific problem you are trying to solve. You are looking at the state and saying, in what manner should I alter the ingredients of my state such that I get into that new state? And that is about, essentially at its root, changing your lifestyle, or altering or tweaking your lifestyle, not dramatically changing your lifestyle. In most cases, it is not. It is normally about tweaking your lifestyle, but knowing exactly how to do it is what the game is all about. So that's what we do, and that's how well-being is different from the other two.